just love it when everybody starts coming
Me
in.
too. It's the best part.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Love it. Hello,
Hey there.
hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
This is here.
Welcome.
Hey, Janet. Hey, Carol.
Hello.
There's
And
Lori and Jenny.
Good afternoon.
Judith. Hey there. Veronica, Ruth.
hi, Bobby.
Hi.
Funny faces.
Eveline's here. Catherine.
Oh,
It's
there's
funny. We
Wendy.
can shout out like Carol, and that covers several people, and we can shout out Melissa, and that's a couple people.
Right. I see a few of my
Kara. Hey, Kara.
nibblongers who were just on a previous Zoom with Not Another Hat. So hello.
Hey, Lori. Lauren L.
Janet,
Judy.
thank you for the cookies. They were so good.
Oh.
Janet sent us some ginger snaps and they were like,
Oh,
everyone
wow.
who had one said they were the best ginger snaps they'd ever tasted.
yes. We agree. I've had those ginger snaps. Janet, you could quit your day job and just make ginger snaps. I have a feeling that could be a full-time occupation for you.
And
But then she
ginger's
would
really
probably
good
hate
for you.
ginger
So I
snaps.
think there should be no guilt in eating any item that has ginger
Well,
in
she
it.
makes these really guilt-free too. There's no dairy, there's no gluten. I mean, they're insane. They're so good.
They are really good. All right.
All right. Okay, welcome everyone. I've got a little poll for you. It looks like we're getting people in now. I'm going to go ahead and deploy that. Our typical little 3-question poll. Help us learn a little bit more about everyone. So go ahead and take a second to answer that. And we will just give a couple more minutes for people to filter in and answer the poll, and we'll get everything underway. So our questions are, have you ever been stung by a jellyfish? Have you been on a boat in the last 5 years? Or have you started only the ocean? So it'll be fun to see those answers coming in. Go ahead and reach out in the chat, say hello to people. And if you see some of your previous friends from small breakout groups, etc., give them a shout out. Or you can also tell us where you're joining us from today.
There's Renee. She's got a t-shirt on. Yeah, that looks fabulous.
Fantastic. I've been wearing my Under the Sea purple shirt, and every time I wear it out in public, people comment on it.
Yes.
And maybe you see the logo for the next one. Oh my
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Something good's coming.
Every time I think, how can it be more fun?
I know. I know. Ilona is just so talented. Okay, still a couple people coming on in. So
Yeah.
if you've just joined us, we've got a little poll. Go ahead and answer those questions. We'll wrap it up here in just a minute and share the answers with everyone. Dang, I'm surprised by one of these.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. It's going to be fun reveal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just give it just one more minute, half a minute.
We can't answer because I was looking forward to
I know.
I always wish
Hosts don't get to answer the polls. That's silly.
Well, if we have some time at the end of the hour, we can
yes
tell everybody
share our own anecdotes. Almost everyone, I think, has been able to answer the poll so far.
Yeah, and lots of people.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
chat.
end it and share the results with everybody so you can see it. Okay. Thankfully, the majority have not been stung by a jellyfish, but 8 of you have. Yikes. And then I am so surprised that 76% of us have been on a boat in the last 5 years. To me, that just seems really surprising, but yeah, that's crazy. And then most people have not started the pattern yet, but a few have wound their yarn and 3 people have started. So very nice. Very nice. Thank you so much for taking part in our fun little poll.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to do a little bit of introductions. So I think we kind of know what we'll say, but we're going to do it. Today is our second stop on Under the Sea tour, and we are your hosts and the founders of the Good Vibes Yarn Tour. We've been doing it since 2020. So when I look at our swag collection, it's really extensive, and including the patterns that we've written as well. I mean, it's fabulous. I just love that library. So I'm Cadence, and I am the owner here at Fuzzy Goat. I'm in my office this time because we're having some stuff happening up in the front of the shop. And we are in Thomasville, Georgia, where I'm pretending it's cool enough to wear a sweater. So I'll hand it over to you, Janet, where probably you don't have to pretend.
No, we don't have to pretend here. I'm Janet, String Theory Yarn Company, and we are outside of Chicago. So it's a nice, cool, crisp fall day. And String Theory is focused on environmentally friendly and socially responsible yarns. But today I am at our 473 location. I say it as, it's really just down. It's almost next door, I guess is the way to say that. But one of the things that I was thinking about as I was setting up in here was many of you probably don't know that String Theory has an extensive selection of gifts and things for your home that are also environmentally friendly and socially responsible. So our same philosophy, but not yarn. So if you are looking to do some holiday shopping, you all have a coupon code. And you might want to, when you go onto our website, at the top, there's a tab that says goods. And if you click there, you'll see everything that is in the location I'm in right now. So all sorts of fun things to look at in addition to yarn. All right. So Sarah.
I'm Sarah Keller, and I'm the owner of Not Another Hat in Hood River, Oregon, where sometimes we don't have to pretend to wear sweaters, but this is in that time of year where it ping pongs within 24 hours from sweater weather to like 76 degrees. So I'm either sweating my you-know-what off, or I'm adding on layers after layers. So at Not Another Hat, we are all about community, which is why the Good Vibes Yarn Tour is such a natural offshoot of what we like to do here at Not Another Hat. So pass it back to Cadence for some housekeeping.
All right. So before we get too much into the show, just two quick housekeeping things. Make sure everyone has the best experience. You'll want to hit your mute button. We do want you to keep your video on so we can see your face if that's workable for you. But if you would mute it, just make sure we don't have background noises. Where I am right now, there'll probably be a train whistle or maybe some kids skateboarding. So I'm going to make sure that I'm muting. And then if you have any questions along the way or comments, just pop them in the chat. And we'll be looking for those. To open your chat, click the chat button down at the bottom of your screen, and then it should show up over on the side there. So that's what our short little Zoom housekeeping things. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's get the show on the road. So Sarah, what have you got?
All right, you know what time it is. We're going to send you all to some small breakout groups to get to know each other a little bit better. And so we'd like you to introduce yourselves to your fellow breakout group members. And then we would like you to talk about a favorite book. It can be your favorite book of all time. It could be a favorite book you just finished reading. But as knitters, we all like to consume other media, especially when we're knitting, and sometimes audiobooks, or we like to take breaks from our knitting and read. So share that goodness with your fellow Good Vibe Tour members. The first person to talk, just so that it helps break the ice, is the person who has been on the most tours in your group. All right, here we go. I'm going to open those breakout rooms right now. You'll see a little thing pop up that says you've been sent to a room, and just click join. So yeah.
Here they go.
Here they come to save the day.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you had a good time having a few minutes to get to know everybody and shared some good books. I hope you took notes. And
If you have
maybe-
good recommendations, put them in the chat.
Yeah, put them in
Yeah.
the chat or go and put them in the Facebook Unraveled group so that the Janet and so we can all find them later. Even the people who didn't make it to our live show today, that would be fantastic.
And
I'm
the backstage
always
pass.
looking for new reading recommendations, always. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Janet and spotlight her now to talk about the box.
Yeah, we have so much fun planning these things. I just can't tell you. So I'm glad that people are enjoying it because we so enjoy putting it together. And so how did this come about? So we were inspired by a jellyfish, the world's largest jellyfish. And that was kind of the start of it. And we like to show you a video that gives you kind of a taste of the place that we're visiting. But I didn't find a good video on jellyfish because all the jellyfish videos that I was looking at were like relaxation music and the jellyfish floating. And I thought, we'd watch these and everybody would be asleep after, the 2 or 3 minutes. And so I found a different one. And this goes along with, it was put together by 4Ocean. And this goes along with the removing plastic from the ocean, which you all contributed to because we put that in your box. For every box that we had, every participant, we removed plastic from the ocean. So I wanted to, I found this video that's from the same organization and talking about what they do with the plastic. And it's fascinating because that was always my question. Okay, you got it out of the ocean, which is great. That helps the ocean, but now what? So, so I thought you might be fascinated too. And so we're going to watch the video about what happens next.
Okay.
One of the most frequently asked questions that we get is, what do we do with all the plastic that our teams collect every single day? We're down in Haiti, and as you can see around us, there's tons of plastic that our teams have collected. What we do is we sort that plastic by type, by color, and bale it into these compressed bales. We have our HD, our Poly Pro, we've got our PET Amber, our PET Blue, more HD, Poly Pro, and all this PET. So this is the plastic that's easily recyclable in most countries by means of just simple mechanical recycling. And what happens is when we get enough plastic to send to a facility, it is then shredded, grinded, broken down, hot washed, and flaked, or even pelletized to be made into new products. This is the recycling means that are available in most countries, but it does vary country by country. And what we do is we're storing all this plastic for future use to make new products out of it or find innovative and creative solutions to recycle the plastic efficiently and effectively. But let's go talk about the other items that are a little bit harder to recycle. Shoes. Shoes are one of the hardest things to recycle. As you can see here, we've got just millions of shoes piled up that our teams have collected in not a very long time. And the reason why shoes are so hard to recycle, take this one for example, is because there's so many different materials. In order to recycle effectively, you need to separate the materials and clean them thoroughly before they can be recycled. But this boot right here, you've got rubber, you've got a leather material, you've got metal, you've got some polyester fabric and fabric. It makes it very difficult to recycle these items, and that's why we are just saving them at this point to find creative solutions on how we can recycle them appropriately. Tires. Our teams collect a ton of tires out of the ocean. Right now, we've just been stockpiling and saving these tires and looking for a sustainable solution to recycle them. We've seen some really creative and innovative groups that are making shoes, flip-flops, and other materials and products out of them. And we'd love to partner up with them to make new products to make sure that these don't end up in a landfill. All the glass that our teams collect is not actually incredibly difficult to recycle, but it is more difficult than your standard recycling bin glass. And that's because of all the dirt and pollution on it. And we sort by color, we sort by type, and then it's sent to the necessary recycling partner to be recycled. Lastly are the materials that are incredibly difficult to recycle. So that's the dirty diapers, the contaminated plastic. Here's a bunch of fabric that's been mixed together and is just highly, highly polluted. And this would be nearly impossible to separate, clean, and recycle. So we look for sustainable solutions in the different countries that we operate out of, and there's certain machines that can convert this waste into either fuel, electricity, or even at the very last outlet is landfilling. And we understand that landfilling is the last thing that we would want to do, But the way we look at it is it's better to be landfilled in a facility responsibly than piled up right here at our facility. That's what we do with all the plastic here in Haiti. We appreciate you guys coming along and seeing exactly what we do with all this material.
Yeah. Incredible, incredible. And I have to say, I went down the rabbit hole with 4Ocean. They have video after video after video that is just fascinating. There's a video of them going out and collecting all the plastic. There's videos of all the people that work for them. They hire people, you know, and provide jobs for people all over the world. Huge crews of people going out and doing this. And I just think it's an amazing organization. So I hope you enjoyed that little peek into what they're doing and how they're making the world a better place. So the next thing we want to talk about is the yarn. And we had this yarn specially dyed, just like we always do. But this one was done by Melissa from Rising Tide Fiber Co. And she created a behind the scenes video that we're going to show before we actually talk to her. And it's all about her kind of setup for dyeing, which I thought was fascinating. So Sarah's going to play that for you.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm the dyer behind Rising Tide Fiber Co. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what my dye situation is. I used to dye in my home, but my business grew and I just started taking over the whole house and we just can't have that. So I recently transitioned out to the garage. It's still a work in progress because I share that space with my husband, but we're gonna head out the front door and I'm gonna show you my little setup. So I have a fairly large driveway. I have quite a bit of space to kind of spread out if necessary. I tend to lean my drying pans up in the sun to dry out here in this space. I have a really large driveway that I can set up tables and really spread out and get my dyeing process done. But really, I have about half of the garage space. Again, it's still a work in progress. My husband's tools and all kinds of equipment is in here, but I make do with what space I have. So you'll see I have lots of carts with various types of dyes and supplies in it. I have lots of like Rubbermaid tubs that's the yarn, the bare yarn I'm working through. If I have any extra, most of the time it's in a climate controlled storage unit along with all the other already dyed yarn, because again, I just can't have it taking over my house like it was. I just got a new shipment of yarn to do a wholesale order for my local yarn shop, so I have that to work on. I do have a big oven. It's cooling down. I have Advent yarn in there right now, so I can't really show you. But once it's finished, I'll set up this handy dandy little spin dryer. Essentially, it spins all the excess water out of my dyed yarn after I rinse it. And then what I do is then I actually take it out into the backyard and set it up on drying racks on the patio. The puppies are coming to say hi. But you can see I have some yarn that I was working on this morning in between on my lunch break after I taught my morning classes. And as long as weather's nice, I'll have yarn drying out here. Obviously during the winter, that's not really feasible and we're losing light. So if any of this is not completely dry, then I'll actually move it on inside. I can actually carry this or roll it down into the lower level of my home. Oh, the dogs want in too. And so we just, set it up in here. I usually just set it up in the middle of the floor. I do have a fireplace in the wintertime to kind of help expedite the drying process. And then I bring it into the dining room. I have a winder already set up on a bookcase in my dining room where I can wind yarn. Some of this has already been wound, some of it needs to be wound. You can see there's a pile there as well. And then once it's finished, I go ahead and I move into my office or spread out here in the dining room and get everything labeled, get photographed, and get it up on the website. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief little tour of my setup, and I look forward to seeing you guys this weekend.
Fabulous. Oh, so good. Okay, so now we need. There she is. I was like, now we need Melissa. Hello,
I'm here.
Melissa. She appears. She appears. Fabulous. Yeah, that was really fun. Thank you for doing that video for us. It's always fun to see kind of the behind the scenes. And I think it's great for everybody to realize all the different steps that it takes to dye yarn and how everybody just kind of makes it work.
Yeah, it's not always glamorous.
There's a lot involved, and it's fascinating how how everybody makes it work in different ways. So it's really fun. Thank you for that. So welcome. Love the yarn. Love what you did. I was so excited when I first opened that box. So I'm hoping that everybody else on the tour was as delighted as I was. You just captured the colors beautifully. And so let's start from the beginning. So how did you get into dyeing yarn?
I started dyeing because I had a local yarn shop. I was a new knitter and had learned to knit. And as that new yarn shop kind of expanded, they started carrying more and more of their own milled yarn and dyed, and I could never find the colors that I wanted. So I went on a dyeing retreat and I learned how to dye, and I kind of played with it and dyed for myself. And then a few years later, after we bought our home, I played some more, and I had friends that went, "Oh my God, you could sell this." And that's how it started.
Fabulous. But you don't do this full time, right?
No, I have a full-time job. I am a high school math teacher.
Fabulous. Does the math come into the dyeing? Do you see it being helpful?
Yeah, of course there's math. I think it's more chemistry than anything else. My parents took they didn't go on the retreat, but they took the same dyeing class I did a couple years ago. And my dad has a chemistry degree. He was a chemistry teacher. And so he's thoroughly fascinated with the process because it makes a ton of sense to him.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah.
So
because
there's probably more science to it than there is math, but
Yeah.
math and science kind of play nicely together.
They do. Ah, cool. So how do you get we, gave you jellyfish, but on other yarns that you're dyeing, what is your favorite way to get inspiration?
So I'm not the traditional dyer who gets a lot of inspiration from photographs. I don't think I translate well from photographs. It's a harder process for me. I tend to gain inspiration from song lyrics or things that I'm reading. I'm a pretty voracious reader. So, I've done summer book clubs where I've not dyed something to match the cover, but to match a theme or, a really key item or object in a novel, that sort of thing. But primarily it's probably song lyrics.
Interesting. Do you have an example?
Yeah, so for many years I did a sock club that I did themes. Like one year I did 70s, I did women in country during the 90s, Broadway musicals, but you essentially pick a song like I have a lot of Taylor Swift's colorways where you pick a song, and I understand that there's a lot of legal aspects to taking the name of a song and naming it to colorways, and I don't really want to cease and desist letter. So I will usually pick a phrase out of a song. Like my staple red colorway comes from her song Style, but it's called classic red lip thing because it's a phrase that she talks about her red lipstick. So I just used phrases that stand out in song lyrics.
Oh, cool. Cool. Oh, fun. All right. What do you like to make with your yarn?
I am primarily a garment knitter, so I do socks and sweaters almost exclusively.
Cool. Cool. Do you have a favorite designer?
I am a big Andrea Mowry fan, but I tend to try to stick with her more standard patterns, not the ones that have a lot of color work or could go out of style. I prefer ones that are just a more minimalistic or classic look.
Yeah, I think that it is interesting that the designs, how do I say this? She has a lot of designs, and for a while there, and I'm not sure if this is still true, but for a while she was going back and forth between something very colorful, with a lot of colors in it, and then something neutral and more classic. And going back and forth. And I don't know that she's known as much for the classic ones, but I think she does have a good library of them. So yeah, so everybody on, all the groupies, if you're looking for a good classic sweater, that is a good way to go. Do you have any favorite samples that you can show us? Do you have anything within reach?
Yeah, my most favorite top that I did this summer, what is this called? Was the Vibes tee, and it's by Tiff Nealon. And I test knit this for her. It's actually a sport weight pattern. I got gauge with my 50/50 cotton wool blend. It was 5 color, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 colors. You could opt to do it in 2 colors. I think if you're not a stripes person, you could do it in 1 color. But I believe in wearing wool during the summertime because it does have that moisture wicking capability, especially when you pair it with a plant fiber that brings the coolness as well. So this was a pretty big favorite of mine this summer. I do have a cardigan. I dyed it with yarn that didn't come out the way it was supposed to color-wise. It's caught in my chair. And it's actually the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry. And I used my Peruvian non-superwash. This is a DK weight blend. And the reason I love this wool, I know some people find it rather on the rustic side and don't necessarily want to wear Peruvian wool, up against skin. But I think it's brilliant for things like cardigans because I made this pattern when it came out and I've never had to depil it. Which is kind of one of the beauties of a non-superwash wool that is leaning towards that rustic feel.
Yes.
And I just finished a Thea Coleman in the same wool, but this is another cardigan I just finished. It's her Mastija cardigan. It actually buttons in the front. I opted not to button it because I don't like buttons on my cardigans. but it has a really nice, simple pattern. But again, I chose that rustic, non-superwash wool because I have dogs and I want to go outside and come back inside, and I don't want to have to worry about things pilling or being super sensitive to snags and such, like
Yeah.
superwash can tend to be.
Very cool. Well, and it's interesting because one of the questions that was submitted by one of the groupies was, what is your favorite type of wool to dye? So if the more rustic is your favorite to wear,
There.
what would be your favorite to dye?
I mean, superwash yarn takes color brilliantly. I mean, it's the most vivid, it's the most fun. It's what the majority of knitters that I run into want. And I don't know if that's just because they're afraid of non-superwash wool or they're not been exposed to any that they like, but superwash is probably the easiest to dye because it takes color so brilliantly. When I look at my organic merino wools, they come out beautifully, but they're more muted in tone, even if they're the same saturation level as like a superwash. And things are not crisp, like speckles are not crisp on a non-superwash yarn made of the same wool as a superwash. So superwash is a lot of fun to dye, and I dye a lot of it.
So with the yarn that you did for us, because it's a tweedy, did that impact how you dyed it, or did it impact the way you put the your color choice, I guess, when you designed that color? Did the fact that it was tweedy impact what you were doing?
A little bit, because you worry about sometimes certain colors hiding the tweed look. So the more bluer toned colorway, I worried that the tweed wouldn't be as prominent. So I needed to be really careful about how dark do I go with this for it to still have that tweed appeal. I'm a huge fan of tweed. With the other colorway, I didn't have any fears with the tweed blending in that one.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me because it almost felt like the tweedy pieces were like the bits that float in the ocean, that's the piece of leaf or the little stick or the, whatever. And so it just, to me, added to the whole atmosphere of the yarn. I thought it was
flotsam and jetsam. Sorry.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm going through my questions to make sure we covered everything. Oh, I forgot to ask about, have you had any of your colorways that started as accidents and turned into?
I had any start as accidents. I mean, I feel like even happy accidents, as a dyer, that colorway may not appeal to me, and it may not have landed the way that I needed it or wanted it for whatever I'm trying to dye. But that doesn't mean it can't be another color, because somebody's gonna love that color. If it's not in my wheelhouse, it's usually in someone else's. So I can't say that I've had any though that stay as a lasting colorway now.
All right then. Any questions from the chat, from the groupies?
I think I saw someone ask what is a nep, because that's on the label. And so the Donegal nep is really just different colors of nylon that gets woven and spun into the wool that creates the colored nep that and because it's nylon, it resists the dye. That's how they do that.
Perfect. Thank
That's
you.
a much better description than mine, which is Tweety Bits.
Yeah.
Thank you for the accurate one.
Well, and it's interesting too, because if they're, it is important. You don't want those pieces, those parts to die, or they wouldn't show up. So they do have to be a different.
Right, which is why I suspect when you look at, I think, Lobby Enemy or Hedgehog, where they are taking people's scrap leftovers that we're all shipping them to make colorful Tweety yarns, I'm pretty sure they're dyeing that wool before it's spun and milled with those leftover neps, which is a different process.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because
'cause
we're
otherwise,
sending them leftovers and it would absorb. The only way to not absorb dye is for it to be spun in after
right.
the wool has been dyed.
Interesting. Fascinating. Okay, so that's the end of my questions. Is there anything that you'd like to share with us that I didn't ask you?
The only thing I can think of is, I talked about in the video, I've temporarily moved to my garage because my business grew so big that it literally took over everything. Like my dyed yarn and most of my bare yarn and anything for festivals, that's all housed in a climate controlled storage unit. So when orders come in every few days, I just go to the unit, pull everything and ship it. But my local yarn shop, I have a really great relationship. I'm friends with the owner. I do work there part-time, like one day a week and doing classes and stuff. But she recently bought a building and it has space she wants to turn into a studio. So hopefully after the first of the year, a few months into the year, I will be transitioning it out of my garage into a much more glamorous situation than it is now. So that's
Very
pretty
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's going to be very cool. All right. Anything else?
I don't see any other questions.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Melissa, for
Of
joining
course.
us
Of
and for
course.
dyeing the yarn. Just loved it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I appreciate you spending time with us on a Sunday afternoon.
Of course. You're welcome.
You.
All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the pattern. And as you can see, I think I talked about this in, well, maybe I didn't, but so I made this hat first and it seemed impossibly small. I just couldn't believe that was going to fit anybody, but I tried it on and it does fit me perfectly. I wanted it to be a beanie. I didn't want it to be super, sloppy, or slouchy, I guess would be the word. And so it fit, but I was like, I'm not so sure. So I made another one. I reversed the colors so you can decide which way you want to do it, what color you want on the bottom. And I did an extra repeat of the cable. So I just made this part a little longer. And I don't know. I didn't like it as much. It poofs up at the top, which I just think is.
But some people love hats like that.
Yes. So that's why why I'm telling you this. The pattern is written for this. But if you like this and want this, all I did was add an extra repeat of the wave. So you can see it's an extra 12 rows, I think, on the pattern. So feel free. This way it stretches, so you don't need to add more stitches to make it bigger. This is going to fit a lot of different heads. So you don't need to add any stitches around, but you may want to make it longer if you choose. My inspiration was the jellyfish. And so I was looking at making the waves. And then I thought this looked kind of like tentacles. And then somebody else said it looked like bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that too. So I had a lot of fun with this. I have a lot of ideas about making a cowl and mittens and maybe a sweater, because I really liked the way these two stitches went together.
And Andrea wants to know if there's enough yardage to do an entire hat in one color.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Cool.
Because yeah, you could, yeah. And I have left. So you can make two hats. I think that's a theme for my designs lately. Is make two and reverse the colors. But yes, you can make it all in one color if you like. That would work too. What else was I gonna? Oh, I did do a technique video about how to cable without a cable needle. And so the link to that will be in your email that comes afterwards, and I will post it as well in the Facebook group. So that when you get to that part, or if you want to review it before you start, you can look at that. It's just something, and even, you can start your hat and get halfway through and go, okay, now I've got this kind of under control. Now I'm going to see if I want to do cables without a cable needle. I do talk about in the technique video that the going one direction is easier than going the other. And so you might want to just practice with I can't remember which switch. You might want to practice with the wave left first, because that's easier. But if you haven't done that before, and there's a million different ways to cable without a cable needle, this just happens to be mine. Yeah, was there anything else?
Do we have any that are finished? I got the bell ready. Flip it through.
Oh, look at that.
yeah,
Susan's got one.
Susan. All right, can we?
Hey, nice.
Oh,
we-
yeah.
okay, hold it up again.
Awesome.
Love it.
Excellent.
Way to go.
Good job, ladies.
Oh, ooh, that's
look at that
pretty too.
brioche. Look at that.
Ooh,
Oh my gosh, Susan.
Very cool.
Woman after my own heart. I love some brioche.
pretty.
All right, did we miss anybody else?
Well, feel free to let us know and we will ring the bell for you. At any time.
Veronica is holding hers up just a second here.
Oh,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Oh, good start. That's looking good. All right.
Awesome. All right, well, let's talk about some of the other goodies that were in your box. I don't have them with me for various reasons. One, I left my tote at the store. So that big, beautiful tote bag, which Janet is so smart to say that that could also be a beach bag. It would be a perfect beach bag. I mean, it is plenty big to put a towel in and some other various. There you go, Cadence. I'm going to have you share the hot spotlight with me, Cadence, since you are showing the things. And I just think choosing that navy blue, Janet, it just makes that artwork pop. It's gorgeous. So I hope you are able to stuff all the yarn in that bag and then take it to the beach. So we love to include bags at least once in a tour because we are all women who like bags.
And I love that it has a gusset.
Share that love with you.
It's got a gusset. That was the first thing I looked at. You know, to make it wider.
Nice and deep, right? Or I mean, wide. And then also, I mean, as Janet has already explained and we watched the video, part of your box this month was a contribution to 4Ocean in honor of all of you to remove 200 pounds of debris and plastic from the ocean, which is fabulous. I also can't show you my seahorse because I ate it. So Cadence is demonstrating. If you have not eaten this thing yet and you are a fan of Rice Krispie treats, let me just be the one to tell you, the authority to tell you, this thing tastes as good as it looks. Sometimes treats like this look better than they taste. It's delicious. I devoured that thing. So apologies. I'm supposed to hang on to them at least long enough to show them to you in our stop video, but couldn't hold back. And then last but not least, of course, is your postcard with a recipe. And Janet picked the perfect recipe because it is close to the location of where these jellyfish live. And it is actually something we love to make here in our house, which is the Japanese cucumber salad. And it's actually like a really light and yummy snack to carry around with you. I frequently will pack it with my lunch. So I was really excited to see that recipe be the choice that Janet included. So, all right, over to you, Cadence, for a few reminders.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of our time together, so we'll be looking to see if there's some questions that we might have. Laurenelle has one here about, I'm going to aim it towards you, Janet. When I do cables, I try to use a cable needle the same size or larger, depending on what cable needle I have handy, but I've never seen anything regarding what size needle to use for the cables.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's really just holding the stitches. The cable or the needle that determines gauge is the needle that you're knitting with. And so you want it to be big enough so that it holds the stitches on and it doesn't just slide right out. And you want it to be small enough so it doesn't stretch the stitches a whole lot. But that still gives you a range of things that would work.
Let's see. And I think that might be the only question that we still have that we haven't answered. So we want to remind you to use your 20% off coupon for String Theory. It's good until the end of the month, so October 31st. It's on the box insert, and the coupon is SEA for C, under the C, and then ST for String Theory. So make sure you use your box coupon because Janet has some fabulous things that you can use your coupon on. We also love to see your pictures in the Facebook groups, your box openings, your project progress. Veronica, show that brioche that you're making in there. We want to see all those things. So we just really enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining us on this second stop of the Good Vibes Yarn Tour Under the Sea. And it's been a real pleasure to have you guys be on the road with us this afternoon. And we're going to have a special prize to give away to those of you who attended today. So this time, box number 2, a lucky winner will get a $25 coupon at Fuzzy Goat. So Sarah has put your names into a random generator.
Yep.
These are just the people who were able to join us live on the show today. And so, Sarah, who am I sending the coupon to?
All right, let me click for it.
And we're going to have the first and the last name on this one.
Oh, right, yes. Let me click to get the sort here, and we have Amelia Cochran. Amelia,
Excellent.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Do a little.
Cadence will be in
This
touch.
is an excuse for me to come visit Cadence soon. I love this.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Yay!
Fabulous.
A short little goat bell reference. We laugh a lot about the Will Ferrell more cowbell. We reference that a lot. And I can't believe he has a son old enough to be in a band. So this kind of fits the whole Good Vibes tour. Old enough to be in a band, and Will Ferrell popped up into one of his shows ringing the cowbell. So,
Awesome. I like that little bit of trivia.
yeah, so that's where my head lives. So on that note, I think we will end, and we will see you all in the Facebook group, and we'll see your all smiling faces again in a month.
Yes.
Where we have
For our last stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
so
all
much,
for
everybody.
joining us, and,
Thank you.
thanks for your job. It's
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.